Hello and welcome back to Taking Back Saturday, a Happy Buyers Club podcast where we break down the real estate market each and every Friday to help home buyers build confidence, follow a process and hopefully buy really happy. I'm your host, Chase Jones, and joining me today is a very special guest. Peter Burgin, Chief Auctioneer and Head of Performance at Place Estate Agents, a huge catch for the podcast. Pete, welcome to Taking Back Saturday.
Chase, I think you're overselling it, but thank you, mate. It's a great introduction and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Pete wrote his own introduction.
No, mine was about 10 minutes long. So.
Yeah, we're a pretty concise podcast here. We have to cut it down. Mate, for my benefit as well here, our first question I'm going to ask you about is about auctioneering competitions. You judge auctioneering competitions. For those that don't know what these are and what they look like, Can you explain what an auctioneering competition looks like?
An auctioning, so in simple, it's a test for auctioneers to get up and they have to, in a controlled environment where we set up a bidding strategy, we set up some questions to test them, they have to get up and deliver an auction. And I guess it's the case of the best auctioneer winning on the day. There's 500 points up for grabs, lots of different criterias. What we find is that it's a really good point of development for new and experienced auctioneers, and they've been in existence for a very long time, but it's a great learning for an auctioneer. It's it's a test of your compliance as much as it is your ability to stand in front of a crowd and generate interest. So all in all, they're a great thing, mainly done through the REIQ. I know Justin Nickerson has one through the Apollo crew, which is very good competition as well. So I haven't competed since about 2010 or something like that. I think was when I sort of retired from competition. But since then, I've enjoyed, developing new auctioneering talent in the industry and also being a part of those auction competitions because they were an important part of the infancy of my career as well.
Nice. So it's not just a bunch of auctioneers getting up and performing a routine that they've pre-planned full of like jokes and gags and things.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing actually, because there is an element of pre-planning. There's certain parts of an auction that you can, sort of really recite word for word, but what we really test them on is the bidding script. They don't know what's going to come their way, the questions they're going to get asked about the property or about the auction to test their knowledge of compliance. That's the part that really sort of sorts out the elite to the up and coming.
Nice.
So
what makes an elite auctioneer?
Or, you know what, it's probably an experience thing, and it's like anything, the more you do of something, the more situations that you see and learn to deal with. And that's probably the big part of development of auctioneering, as it probably is for most things. So experience is one thing. People who sort of really take it seriously and really, really work on the craft. There's a few key learnings in auctioneering, lessons that I learned when I was newer to the business that, we try and impart on people so they don't have to learn the hard way. It's practice, timing, dedication, and, really living that auctioneering space, I guess.
Jeez, that sounds like a real hoot.
I know, but
we're all in it together.
I know, it's sort of...
Once you're in it, you are in it.
Feels like that is real estate 101, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
You're either all in or you're not.
In your opinion, is auction the best way to sell a property?
Yeah, you're going to get a biased answer here, but it is. It is certainly the fastest way to sell a property in the markets that I work in. I work in Brisbane's prime market, so inner city, fringe inner city. So when I speak about anything relative to auction and real estate, that's really where I'm talking about. But our average time of market for auctions is 28 days. Our average time of market for private treaty is 90 days. So there's a massive difference, and it is a more progressive way to sell your home. You will get a result faster, and I guess we all understand the relationship between time and value. Properties that have been on the market for an extended period of time often suffer in terms of value because buyers see that as buyers agents.
Stale.
Buyers agents are ready to pounce and righto, here we go.
I see that's been on the market for 2 months. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I'll offer you 200 grand less, but no. So but there can be a relationship between time and value. So we try and avoid that for our clients, and in that vein, I really feel that auction is the best method of sale.
Nice. When is auction not the best method of sale?
Never.
Is there so if you were in a listing presentation? Not that I dare say you do a lot of sitting at kitchen tables. And
I do
and
a
listening
fair
to-
bit, because I'm there to support our agents.
Well, if you're there and if they are steadfast that they are not up for auction, is it that we're not the agents for you?
No, we're not that hard and fast about it. Otherwise, we would have 100% listing to auction ratio. We want to help people, and we do believe, I guess, from a place perspective, that we're a full-service real estate firm, and we offer expertise, whether it be via auction or private treaty. But for Peter Burgin, do I have a preference? Do I really have a belief that the auction system will work better for our clients? The answer to that question is yes. But if they're resilient to that, or if they've had a bad experience in the past, or there's something stopping them, would we still want to work with that client and get them a great result? Of course we would.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I dare say like that, steadfast belief in auction and the process and how to effectively run a auction campaign, they would feel that. And and if they believe in you, I dare say they'd believe in your process as well.
I absolutely believe that. It's interesting you say that, Chase, because, I think how you transfer that belief is probably really whether the client will engage with you on that or not. Because if they are resilient to it, some people are just never. There's probably 10% of the selling market that will just never, no matter what you say, how much you believe in it, they just won't auction their property. There's 10 to 20% that probably have a preconceived idea that that's what they want to do. But it's the sellers that are sort of in that basket in between that are probably looking for advice or looking for some direction around what is the best way to sell their home. And I think that's where, as real estate agents, if you've got strong belief, you've got great experience in steering them in the right direction, that's where we can really work for our clients and get them a great result.
That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake that sellers make when choosing to go to auction?
Probably choosing the wrong agent to go to auction with. And I say that carefully because I don't want to insult anybody. But, it's like anything. People have, areas of expertise in different disciplines. Well, if you've got someone who hasn't really done much in terms of auction, then it might be a little bit more dangerous to go, with an inexperienced agent than a very experienced agent. So, the auction has certain discipline about it. You want to make sure that the agent's going to work very hard. It's much more intensive. You've got to work a lot harder with your buyers. You've got to stay more engaged with your seller and your buyers. And there's certain conversations with buyers that make sense to have. There's a lot of preparation that goes into getting buyers ready to purchase at auction. So, and you would know that full well. So, it's making sure that somebody's got the ability and the experience to do that and do that well.
100%. It's not a method of sale to hide behind. You can't just set an auction date, pick your auctioneer and say, catch you guys in 2.5 weeks and it'll all work itself out in the wash or work itself out in the back room when we're having the hard conversations at the 11th hour. It's not the way it's meant to be done. It's meant to be, like you say, a hard and fast campaign in which communication is at a very high level between buyers, sellers, at a very regular pace and very 100%. Regular tempo, so that come the day, we're just executing.
Absolutely. You've got to keep people engaged, and you're not going to do that by having the old sort of, the sign up, feed up, and you sort of wait for the result to... We went through that market sort of post-COVID, and that was nice, but that's not our reality.
No.
We're in a much more normal market now, so we do have to work a lot harder at process. And, I think there's great opportunity in that.
Nice. Speaking of post-COVID, or even maybe harboring back to pre-COVID, how's the Brisbane auction market evolved in, say, the last 5 to 10 years? Yeah.
So in terms of overall volume of auctions, we're doing a lot more auctions in our market than what we were pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. That is the legacy that COVID has left. That COVID period, I think there's a lot more acceptance from our market and the industry that auction is a great process, which is a really good thing. And I guess we're probably, whilst we're in a similar market to what we were pre-COVID, it is dynamically different because there's more progressive agents that are doing more progressive methods of sale, like auction and getting property on and off the market a lot faster, speeding the decision-making process for buyers, to making sure we get the right result.
It certainly feels like the Brisbane market has matured, hasn't it? Where
absolutely.
It's like come into line with some other bigger markets. And that, auction and good auction agents is all a part of that.
Absolutely, and I'm very proud of the fact that we were a part of a market that did really have to fight hard for deals even pre-COVID. And I look at Sydney and Melbourne markets where they've probably, I don't know who listens to this, but I'm
Don't
not
worry,
trying to
nobody.
insult.
Don't worry.
I'm trying to insult your mum and your dad, surely
Exactly.
do, and your wife.
Like, hey, quick shout out, Mum. We'll see you all weekend.
But, look, those markets have probably done a lot of the heavy lifting for agents for a very long time. Brisbane has never really enjoyed that. That post-COVID period was the only time where we feel like the market did do that work for us. And yes, we claimed victory, we claimed glory, but ultimately it was the market forces working for us. So, very proud of the fact that we've always had to become, very skilled at what we do to execute an outcome. And I think what we're seeing is the benefit of that skill, that knowledge now in a market that's probably more normal than anything, still using good methods of sale, still using that expertise that we've gained over a lot of years to get the right outcome. So
huge shout out there to all of the agents in the Greater Brisbane area that are doing good stuff.
We're a great market. It's an amazing market, and
it's healthy. It's fair at the moment for a lot of segments. It's certainly a fair market.
Absolutely, and it's a false expectation to think that post-COVID period is going to repeat any time soon. If it does, it does. We'll all be along for the ride. But I think we have to accept that this is normal. This is okay. And I just love the fact that Brisbane and South East Queensland agents have become experts, and we've really raised the bar, and we know what to do. We know how to do it, and everyone benefits.
Love it. They're going to love hearing that, and so will my mum. Have you got any memorable auction moments, good or bad, that have really stuck with you over the past, say, 20 years?
Look, I don't know, without sounding like a twat, I've probably done so many, they sort of start fading in it. There's always
it's the same joke every weekend from Pete.
Yes. So if you've come to a lot of my auctions, forgive me. There's only so many one-liners you can use. I know they're not funny anymore, but look, I think it's always easy to remember those great outcomes, and I love it when the process, the auction, the outcome changes somebody's life. And you look back and you go, there's been many, many instances where people have enjoyed a result that's in excess of $1 million above the reserve price. I remember doing one auction and it was $3.6 million above the reserve price. Like, it's life-changing stuff.
That is wild.
But, what I love more than anything, no matter what the outcome, it's the emotion in the transaction. And I love it when you knock a property down and you've got partners, family, whoever, that turn to each other, embrace, hug, tears, like it's an emotional transaction for them. It's a big thing in their lives, and I think that the real estate market, that is lost on the market a lot. It's so transactional for so many people, and it's like, oh yeah, ho-hum, bought a house, sold a house. But when there's emotion involved, that's when I really sort of go, this is so good. From a seller's point of view, buyer's point of view, it doesn't matter. It's just a nice thing.
I actually love that. It's not bricks and mortar and timber and weatherboard. It's people. This industry is people, and there is a lot of emotion in it from buyers and sellers alike. We have a lot of buyers that listen to this podcast, but we always reiterate to them that selling sucks as well. For a lot of people, selling is an extremely stressful thing. So they're not the enemy. We're trying to find a way to make this, a fair, and hopefully beneficial transaction for everybody. Yeah. And like you said, that moment there, gavel comes down. You've probably got sellers inside that are embracing as well, and then you've got buyers out here that are over the moon that they've bought it and they're relieved. That is a lot of emotion to sort of be anchoring there at the front.
Absolutely. It's interesting you just said, sort of create that sort of fair thing. And it's funny because people get into that sort of buying a house mode. Sometimes I don't think they know how to act, and I think they think they've got to probably sort of put on this persona. It's like the
tough negotiator.
It's like, I tell you what, if you're a buyer and you're out there, and if you are on the off chance listening to this podcast outside of Chase's mum, now I think you just communicate with the agent as best you can, be as reasonably forthcoming, give them as much information, allow them to help you. And I can tell you now, if you're more engaging, people want to help you, and they'll do anything they can to make it work for you, But if you sort of stand back and all a bit sort of confrontational or semi-confrontational. It just makes it all unnecessarily difficult.
Exactly right. Who wants to help the tough guy in the corner, as opposed to the person that's been there, shook hands, introduced themselves,
absolutely,
signalled their intent to buy, and worked with you throughout a campaign to then, hopefully be the person to buy it at the end.
Absolutely, because that's what we want to do. We want to help people purchase property. If we do that, we're helping our sellers.
Nice one. All right, we've all seen this before. When you can hear a pin drop at an auction, how do you handle a silent crowd or a stalled auction? Yeah,
so silent crowd, and I guess we do get plenty of that. I will always try and sort of soften the moment, and the corny one-liners and everything, but ask for opening bid, and I almost allow for the awkward silence, and then I'll just say, geez, this is awkward. And it's amazing. People sort of, it does soften the mood a little bit. And it's funny, the best bit of advice I got from Phil Parker many, many years ago, in excess of 20 years ago now, was relax people at an auction, try and sort of make people feel comfortable. And I've never forgotten that. And so anything you can do in those moments to just say, hey, look, we're all standing here together. Someone jump in. We're here to work together to collaborate, get the job done. But if you stand there and do nothing, but look, if that becomes an excessive pause, option one is put in a vendor bid and just see if that does promote any bidding, or my probably favourite option is just hit the pause button, go and talk to those people who've been good enough to register and see if you can strike up a meaningful conversation around value with one of those buyers then. I don't care how the auction looks. I don't feel the need to have 30,000 bids. But, I just want to know that everybody who has registered to bid has had the ability to get involved in the auction one way, shape or form, or at least we've communicated with them in a meaningful way, so we've given them the opportunity to purchase the home.
And then your vendors have peace of mind as well, knowing that, every last option was at least run to ground.
Absolutely, because some people have this thing, we'll wait until it goes on the market and all that stuff. Well, that doesn't really help anything, and again, goes back to sort of be someone that people want to deal with, get involved in the auction, let the competition, you let your competition know you mean business, get in there and start bidding, flex a bit of muscle.
No. Hot tips.
Yeah.
Last one, Pete, I'm going to let you get out of here after this one. You've seen Brisbane real estate at its most competitive, I'd say, over the last 5 years. Where do you see the market heading in the next 12?
Look, I think probably the safest thing to do would be assume that this is our new normal, the market we're in at the moment, and I see no reason for it to, go up or down in any significant way. The one thing, even if there was economic factors that might be putting pressure on our markets, one thing that will serve Brisbane well is the migration and the belief in the value in property in Brisbane still. Brisbane's in an incredible part of its life. I think the next 10 years for Brisbane, even outside of the Olympic Games, you've only got to walk around the CBD at the moment, walk around, do that river loop, Queen's Wharf, there's so many different things that are Eagle Street Pier, which will be another thing. It's just going to be a wonderful city. And if you're making a decision to purchase property, have a medium to long-term view, and I'm sure that the property will look after you. If you've got to pay an extra 10, 20, 50, but just go and secure the home you want now is the home you want in 10 years' time. Get that home now, because I think it's just going to get more expensive.
Nice one. So believe in Brisbane and it'll look after you.
Absolutely, I think so, yeah. Always has done in the past. Why wouldn't it do it in the future?
Mate, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure, Chase.
That's Pete. I'm Chase. Cue the song.